Good morning, everybody. Let me say Sharon to everyone who is watching us. You are with the City of David Radio Israel, the place where God chose as his dwelling place. Somebody can argue, but you can, change the fact. We are welcoming you to witness a historic program, which of course will, happen between the African community in Israel and one of the member of Knesset. And later on, I will introduce you I will introduce her to you. So please stay with us, and you will be able to learn a lot. It is an opportunity to you to know more. So kindly share the video, and you will never regret for joining us. You can follow us on YouTube, and you can follow us on City of David Radio in Israel. Levanda 17 Tel Aviv, that is the place that you can find us. So kindly invite your friends. In the studio, I have the Ghanaian community leader in the person of Mrs. Aduse Cromwell, who happened to be our president. And I myself, let me seize this opportunity to introduce myself. I am the vice president of the Ghanaian community. So feel at home. A lot is coming your way. So let me first go to Mrs. Aduse Cromwell to do the introduction of who is our guest this morning. Stay blessed.
Okay, a very good morning, wherever you are listening from. Good afternoon, good evening. As the Vice President said, my name is Mrs. Cromwell Aduse, the President of the Ghanaian community in Israel. Today with us in this beautiful studio is Sharon Hassel. She is an Israeli politician. She is a member of the Knesset for the National Unity Government. She previously served as a member of the Likud Party for the New Hope Party also. She was the youngest member of the Likud Party when she was first elected, and the second youngest member of the 20th Knesset. Sharon, you are welcome to the
Hello.
City of David.
Thank you very much for inviting me to speak at your radio. It's a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so now let me take over from here. The fact that the introduction is already made by our president. Now we know who is our guest, and believe me, I myself have dig and I've done a lot of studies about her, and I've already fallen in love with her because of what she stands for and her vision. But most of the things we may not know, so let me kindly have a discussion with her, and let us first know her. So Sherry, welcome back again to our humble studio.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we are most grateful that you have accepted our invitation. First of all, let's know a little bit about you. In Israel, you say MK. What is the meaning of MK, and what do you do? Even though introduction is made, but for you to give us what we want to know, can you please tell us when we say Sharon, and who is she?
So first of all, normally maybe in Ghana you would call members of parliament MPs.
MPs.
And here in Israel, instead of members of parliament, we call it members of Knesset. The Knesset is also the ancient Knesset, a biblical one that used to rule the Israeli people. It was sort of like the elderly who was sitting together and make the decisions. And that's why the Knesset is called the Knesset, and that's why there's also 120 representatives, the same as the ancient one.
Okay.
So that's the MK.
That is
Yeah. I come from a family here in Israel that has a lot of roots dating back, many of us with our last names. We can find our ancient history in the biblical books through our last names as well. So Haskel, in a few generations that you go all the way back, date back to Iraq, to Ezekiel. That's the original of the name. And from my mom's side, my mother's last name is Ben Ezra, which means the son of Ezra.
Ezra.
and you know the story of
Ezra.
So that's my family. When I turned 18, I served in the military here in Israel, as all young people. I just chose and decided to go into a combat position. So I was a combat soldier in a troop called the Border Guards, which are meant to, as its name, guard on their borders. After my military service, I lived for a little bit in America, in the States, and then I moved to Australia for about 7 years. And I decided to pack up everything and move back here to Israel and come back to my roots and to my family and to where I'm meant to be. I entered politics about 8 years ago through the Likud party. I served in many committees, like the Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee, which is the most important committee here in Israel because of the challenging situation that we have here. I served as the chairman of the Education, Culture and Sport Committee last year. And that was a very important role here. Basically the role that is meant to shape the younger generation and the future generation here in Israel by the education and sport and culture. And I serve now as a member of Knesset from the Unity Party.
So I told you the information you are getting out there, you must spend a lot of money to get them. I'm so interested when she took us all the way back to Iraq, and when you read the Bible and you live in Israel, you get more understanding about what is going on. But let us go straight away, because our topic says the current issues between Israel and Hamas. We all heard what happened. Those of us, we got opportunity to witness first-hand information. But for our audience outside Israel, they need more understanding, because people are confusing them and people are sending wrong information. Now that we have you in our studio, I think it's an opportunity for you to throw the light to where the darkness is controlling. What happened, Sherry? What happened that fateful Saturday?
So on the 7th of October, Israel was attacked. The body was Hamas, but Hamas is a military under the control of Iran. It's called a proxy, same as they have proxies in many other countries. You know, some of their proxies, like in Yemen and in Iraq, and this whole idea of radical Islam sits under the same framework. You might know it closer from the same extremism of ideas and radical Islam, like Boko Haram. You might know their actions and their ideology, but these are the same ideas. They have infiltrated and invaded 22 cities and towns in Israel. There were thousands of terrorists charging the border, crossing the border, and invading those cities and those towns, going from house to house, butchering, murdering, slaughtering entire families, just like that. The way they did it are horrific and shocking. These would be stories that are unimaginable. Those sites were some of the bloodiest sites that, and trust me, the people here in Israel, and I served in the IDF, I told you that it was during the times of the Second Intifada. The times of the Second Intifada was when we had here in Israel terrorists who were exploding themselves in buses and restaurants and bars. And those sites were horrific. Okay, body parts scattered everywhere. That is not coming even close to those sites that and those crimes against humanity that were committed in those towns and those cities. There was one home, and I went back to some of the towns, and there was one site where there was a festival happening, and there were about 3,000 young people gathering together to celebrate nature and music you know, and it was a music festival like any other in the rest of the world, like Burning Man or you know, Coachella, and there's so many other festival that you have. And they came by air on these little parachutes. They came by vehicles, on trucks and on motorcycles, round them up in a circle and started shooting them like in a shooting duck. They started mass raping many women next to some of these corpses and then shooting them on the site.
Sherry, sorry, I want to catch you because these questions that a lot of people are asking. Let's talk a little bit. Sorry, I'm cutting you because it's very important for our understanding. Can you tell us the history of that festival? Because we all know about the Sukkot and we know other festival being celebrated in Israel. I mean, periodically, calendar according to the Jewish calendar. But this particular one, we find it difficult to understand. What is the meaning of that festival, and who are the organizers?
First of all, it's important to know that Saturday was the celebration of the Feast of Tabernacle. So this is a very high holiday here in Israel where everybody go out and celebrate with families and with friends, and they knew that this holiday. The actual festival, I think it's a festival that happens once a year. I don't know the exact origins of it, but it's a huge festival that people come almost every year to celebrate together during this holiday. And the people that were left, they set a trap there. Anyone coming, going, they shot, it's like small missiles, anti-tank missiles, into cars and towards people. It was a horrific scene when people arrived there. More than that, in one of the towns, the first troops who came to liberate that town, the military, one of the personnel that was there was telling us that in the entrance to the town, they saw a pile of bodies, and they were all in flames, burning. And he didn't really understand what he was seeing. How come, when you go and you shoot people, maybe you pile them up, but how come they're burning? And he didn't understand how it happened. And he said maybe it was like an accident, or maybe they throw a grenade or something like that, and then they were on fire. But then he goes into further, and you see another pile of bodies like that burning. And he said, okay, what's happening here? And then he looks in the distance, and he realizes that those fires, so many fires that he sees in the distance, those are piles of bodies that they're trying to burn, to eliminate, so there won't be anyone to recognize when they are ash. They're trying to hide the evidence as well. And so you see troops and soldiers running from fire to fire, trying to take down the fire with their hands on dead bodies, to be able to identify those people later on. And those sights were horrific sights. They've never seen anything like that. When you go in and you really see the devastation and the magnitude of those crimes that they committed, this is just unimaginable. It's unbelievable. It's heartbreaking.
So I think those of you who are watching and listening, I think when it comes to this issue, we are all, engulf ourselves with emotions. And what I'm hearing from our MK, I think giving me more understanding. And I believe those of you who are also listening and watching will have a different opinion about what exactly happened. But for us, it is all about understanding what happened. Let's talk a little bit about security. For us, we know that when a program like this is being held in the land of Israel, especially when it's Shabbat and when it's in the territory of Israel, we have witnessed all this, and they put security people in place to guide those who are participating. What happened? Who are the organizers? I ask again. What are the security measures they put in place?
So we need to understand this was orchestrated, planned, financed, assisted by Iran. Iran is the head of the snake. They are the biggest instigator of terror and violence in our region. And they are the head of it. The blood is on their hands first and foremost. Look, there has been failures, and we will investigate them in order to make sure this will never happen. But we'll do that the day after the war. We don't go in at the moment into accounts. We will do it. It cannot happen ever again, and there was a failure. But the judgment and the accounts, we're going to do it a day after we win this war. Because right now we have to concentrate on winning. Because if they've done it once, they will try and do it again. And this war is whether we are capable of living here in our country safely, if we can send our children to school, if they can live safely. And so, this war is a war against radical Islam, on the values that we believe in, the way that we live, on the values of freedom, of equality, freedom of religion, all of the human liberties, democracy, and on the sanctity of life. I mean, there were more than 40 babies that were murdered there. I mean, for God's sake, why would anyone see a baby not just murder them, but behead them, chop their head off? How cruel can a human being be? These are not humans, these are monsters. And so this fight and this war, we have to win it. Because otherwise, no one is safe in our territory. And to be honest, Israel is just the gate. I mean, we spoke that Iran is the proxy, and it is the head of the snake. It's got proxies everywhere in the Middle East. Israel is the front gate, but you are already hearing. There was a terrorist attack in France, in Belgium. Yesterday there was a hate murder of a Jewish leader of a synagogue in the United States. I mean, Jews all around the world are taking off their Jewish symbols and hide them because there is so much hatred towards them at the moment. And to be honest, it's worrying, and we have to bring back the security and the safety of our people, and that comes first in our eyes.
We have to bring back the security and the safety, she said. Let me now read some of the message for those who are with us. I can see the former president of Ghanaian community, Madam Salome Asamoah. She said, I stand with Israel. And those of you who are watching, kindly send your message and we will read it. Reverend Abakan, you say you are welcome to the City of David Radio. Some of you are on board. Kindly show a sign so that I can mention your name. We stand with Israel, the City of David Radio. We also stand with Israel.
So I really want to thank the City of David Radio and to the entire Ghanaian community for their support and their love and their prayer and donation for our people and for our country. It's not taken for granted, and we greatly appreciate your support.
So let me go back to some of your posts that you have posted out there to defend Israel and to defend your political ideology. And one of the things I read through your page, you said that the same thing that they were eliminated Al-Qaeda and ISIS, we will be more safer if we do so against Hamas. Why Israel is too late to eliminate? Because per what you said, you have evidence of Al-Qaeda not being part of us. We are enjoying freedom. And ISIS not being with us, we are enjoying freedom. What happened? Why it took Israel so long to fight against Hamas?
To be honest, there was a lot of pressure from the international community. Time after time, the international community have forced us and told us you know what, this is a territorial conflict. If you just give some territory, everything will be fine. There'll be peace and coexistence, and you'll be able to live side by side. And time after time, they twist our arm in order to force us to give up territory for peace. And that's what we did. In 2005, the Israeli government have evacuated Gaza from every single living Jew. It gives the entire territory to the Gazan citizens, to the Palestinians. Even the dead Jews who were buried in this territory were pulled out of their graves and buried in Israel. And the international community said, we vouch and we will support and we will make sure that Israel will continue to exist, and now in peace and coexistence. Only a few days later, in a democratic elections that happened in Gaza, 56% of them, almost 60%, voted in favor of Hamas, a terrorist organization who wrote on their platforms that they will not rest until the complete annihilation of the state of Israel. And that became our a neighboring country, a neighboring autonomy recognized by all those countries. And ever since then, we started suffering. We suffered thousands and thousands of rockets every year. Acts of horror and violence against the people of Israel. I mean, kids who were growing up in a post-traumatic stress environment, running from shelters, rockets falling on schools and kindergarten. We had to make sure that cities, towns are completely shielded from rockets. We have to start inventing new technology to defend our people against these rockets. It's craziness to be able to live in that kind of environment. And the international community said, no, give them a chance. A chance for what? It was a chance for them to go out and trying to massacre as many Jews, as many citizens as possible. And unfortunately, we understand that in this time, we have to make sure that any decision that we make for the future as Israel is going to ensure the safety and the security of our people, of our children. That's the first thing that we need to think, and not on any kind of pressure. And so unfortunately, up until this horrible tragedy that we didn't experience, I mean, it's the worst tragedy in the history of Israel. It took that for the world to realize and understand that we are bordering an ISIS organization, an Al-Qaeda organization, a Boko Haram organization, that its only goal was to create as much violence and destruction and murder as possible.
Okay. Thank you very much for such explanation. I will come back again in terms of the territory because like we said, we have got you in our studio. We need more understanding, so I will take you back to the map and you give explanation about the location and why Israel is suffering. But let me first go to what our audience, Ivy Maz is also watching us. Esther Pokwa says, I stand with Israel. And Edna Boache also said, I stand with Israel.
Thank you.
Sarah Brobe is also watching. And Esther Pokwa said, my regard to Mama Esther. Gifty Tete, who happened to be Pastor Solomon's wife, also said, I stand with Israel. Konama Ophiria is also on board. So thank you very much, those of you who are Adum Eric, who happen to be a minister in the Lord, say, we will win. We will win, he said. Okay.
Amen.
So, yeah. So let me now go back to history so that we'll understand, because the map tells us that from Ashdod, Ashkelon to Gaza, it is like a 10 to 5 kilometers as time to be collected. Sidlot, all the cities that are close to Gaza, when you are driving, I think 5 to 10 kilometers, you are there. Why Israel control Ashkelon, Ashdod? Then, per what you're saying, why did they move out from Gaza? Let me have this understanding also, because when we talk about Gaza, we find Gaza and the Mediterranean Sea close to Egypt, then Israel. But from Gaza to Ramallah, we find the Israeli cities. How possible that would be should Palestinians have their independence?
So in Gaza, they have their own autonomy. I mean, they have their independence. They can build, they're running their own life, they have their own military, their own equipment, their own ministries, their own education system, everything. So Gaza is sort of running as a country. Unfortunately, because they chose the way of violence and hatred and war, we have a border of war. Now, some people are coming and saying, "Oh, you know, Israel is creating a full prison. They're blockading Gaza." They say all these things, but I have a question: how can a country completely eliminate all the supplies and all of the and blockading it if it's bordering another country? Okay, so the Israeli border is closed. How come the Egyptian border is closed? How come the Egyptians are not held accountable for that border? Are the Egyptians blockading the Gazan people as well? Now let me explain to you this. Through the Egyptian border, there were also terror tunnels that were built. And what are these terror tunnels are used for? To smuggling weapons, ammunition. The biggest export of Gaza are ISIS fighters in the Sinai desert. So most of the fighting that you hear in the Sinai desert, for example, going into a church and massacring people while they pray, okay, to mosques as well, that is ISIS. Most of these terrorists' origins are from Gaza. And so the Egyptians are not interested in having an ISIS border as well, so they just close it. And so if this country, or if this autonomy called Gaza would have chose the way of peace, of coexistence, they would have the entire world investing in it. So many countries did it. Singapore did it. Hong Kong did it. But it's if you come in peace. I'll give you. We have a good friend of ours. His name is Ophir Lipstein. He was the head of the local council of Sha'ar Negev. On the morning of the 7th of October, he heard there's an invasion. He ran to defend his people and his town and his family, and those terrorists shot him dead. I was in his funerals, in his funeral just a few days ago, and I remembered just 3 months ago when Ophir brought me to Sha'ar Negev for a tour. And he showed me the life there on the border of Gaza, and he took me to a little hill. And he told me, you know, Sharon, I brought you here because this is the hill of the Palmach. It's a memorial for our troops from the Palmach, which is in 47, the history of Israel.
Was killed there.
Yeah, and we were looking through, and he told me, look, this is Gaza. This is Israel. We have to find somehow to live together. All of this area, I'm going to build an industrial area that Palestinians can just come into this industrial area freely, and they can work there together with Israelis and build good and build technologies. And you see the sea there? That's going to be a port, and from there's going to be ships who are going to carry these goods that were made by Gazan citizens and Israeli citizens. And I've got the military, and I've got donations, and I know how to do it, and this is my vision to this area. And that was Ophir, a person of vision in a place where no one can. And they murdered him almost on the doorstep of his home while trying to defend his family and his town. And when they kill a person like that, they don't just kill a vision, but they kill the only person who could have executed something like that. And so every dream that we had has completely vanished on the 7th of October. And we understand that there is no peace with a murderous organization. There will never be. And that's why we have to completely eliminate it.
Okay, now let's move a little bit towards to the eastern part of Israel. And when I say the eastern part of Israel, let's talk a little bit about the border between Israel and Jordan. Because after Jordan, once you pass Jordan River, most of the cities there are referred as the West Bank cities. I believe you have, named them Zone A, Zone B. We want more understanding about it. Are there any trustee in that territory when you talk about West Bank? Do Israel have a trustee that it can base on to bring these beautiful ideas you're talking about?
So you mean the West Bank?
Yeah.
So around the Jordan River?
Yeah. All the way to Ramallah. Ramallah serves as the capital of the Palestinians. Are there any trustee there?
To be honest, and I said that a few times, the only way that people will be free, the only way that some of those holy sites are going to be accessible for all religion, the only way that where people will be able to coexist, there's some difficulties, but will be able, is if Israel control these areas, including the Jordan Valley. So look, in Israel as well, we have many Arab communities. Muslims, Christian, Druze, Bedouin, Cherkess, and many more. And it's not perfect. Yes, is there racism in Israel? Yes, the same as the racism in any other country. And we're trying to fight it, and we're trying to do more good. But we are capable of coexisting and living side by side. While there's a government who's equally looking after the better of the life of all of its citizens. And so for me, I believe that only under the control of Israel, the ruling of Israel, fully, democratically, with all the liberties and everything, will be able to actually have a better future in this area.
In Israel. So, okay, because someone wants to know if any trustee in the Palestinian side. We want to now come back to the African community to know what we stand for. And a situation like this, everybody asks the questions. What plans do Israel government have for the foreigners? The fact that we all know that the war is ongoing. So when you give me this answer, then our president also will come in to talk about.
I think it's the same question that I was about to ask. So we really want to know the foreign community that are in Israel. What is your message to us in this situation?
So first of all, keep following the instructions of the military. They are publishing it also in English to keep you safe and in safety. And so there's a lot of information that is happening, and we're only at the start of it. Unfortunately, we were forced into war. And when we're forced into a war, we have to completely change the equation in our area so that we can continue to live here safely and in security. And so it can be very stressing and scary when you hear the alarms and when you hear the explosions. And so it's very important to maybe download the military app that have instructions also in English. It keeps you updated about the alarms and how to get into a safety area. So find out so that you get into this routine that us Israelis are somewhat unfortunately used to. The second thing is that I would like to thank you for your support, and I would like to call for all of them to continue in prayer and support our people and our country. We are in very difficult times at the moment. It is very challenging, but God is on our side. This is a war between dark and light, between evil and good, between life and death. And God is on our side. There were many wars in Israel, and You know, many people are telling these stories of miracle. Even now on that Saturday, there were stories of miracles. So many brave men and women, you know. I have to say we have some of the most incredible women, fighters, warriors with intuition, mothers who in their bones will defend their children and their families. It is incredible to see that. And from their stories you understand also God was with them. And so please continue to pray for us, and all the love and the support that we get, we really appreciate, and it helps a lot.
Okay. So we heard of volunteering also. If there are people who want to go to volunteer, we don't know how to go about that. Can you throw that?
Yeah, so there's always publication in different posts about how to assist and how to volunteer. For example, the head of the hospital in the south said that his entire cleaning staff didn't arrive. He posted it. The next morning, a whole, it's like the scouts in Israel, but it's called Bnei Akiva, an entire tribe of them, hundreds of teenagers, just went down and cleaned the entire hospital for a few days. That's incredible solidarity. When, I don't know, there's like here in Tel Aviv, there's our centers that are preparing food. Okay, you can call these centers, you can go and give a hand that collect clothes or anything needed for the people. People go and play music to the evacuates. There are so many people who were evacuated from their homes, like from Nativa Sarah and from Kfar Aza and from Be'eri, and they are in Eilat and in many, I won't give the exact locations, but they're all around the country. And so going there, and there are artists who are going and playing music for them, and so almost anything that anyone wants to do, just search online, ask a friend, ask a local, and they'll help out, because it's incredible to see. I have a good friend, she's a nurse. She went down for a week to the hospital to assist with some of the emergencies. Anyone in their field, in their capabilities, it's a huge help at these situations.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think our time is running.
So I'll come back to you, but let me quickly go to those who are with us, because they are part of the program. Augustina York just joined us, a new face, the musician, says we're doing great job in our community. GCI president and your leaders, they are showing appreciation for what you are doing. Mama Gifty Teta again said, well, we are always praying for Israel more, so to show solidarity.
Thank you.
And Adum Arik says, well, the world must understand that Hamas don't want peace. He said the world must understand that Hamas don't want peace. So I'll go back to Madam President again, if you have some few things to add.
Okay, so Sharon, on behalf of the community, we want to say a very big thanks to you. We know you are a very busy person. We have been chatting for the past weeks, and today you made it to come to us. We want you to know that many of our children are also serving in the IDF. They have been called back to, because of the situation. So our being here, we are part of the Israel community. Most of us here are citizens already. So whatever is going on, I don't like talking too much, because many of my parishioners in the church, yesterday we heard that 4 of them died. Yeah, the Filipinos taking care of the elderly people.
Wow.
Yeah, so some of our foreign workers also.
Yeah.
It's not easy for all of us. So
yeah,
we are praying. That is the only weapon people like us have. We pray for peace.
Amen.
We pray for all those that have lost their lives, that their death will be a memorial blessing for the next generation that will come.
Amen.
They will remember it as a blessing to all of us. For those that are have been in captivity, we pray that God,
the hostages
yes,
come
and the
back
hostages,
alive. Yeah.
God will bring them back to their loved ones.
Some of them are just babies.
It's not easy talking about this issue. It's not easy, but we pray that God will give us the strength for us to continue to do what we are doing. And we thank you also. You have been the voice to the voiceless. Anytime we go on your page, we hear how you talk. In fact, it gives us the courage that there are people there who are willing to fight.
Thank you.
For us.
And so, first of all, I would like the community. You can go on my page. I open a page just in English, in order to bring some of the information and what is happening in Israel. Please spread it. There's a lot of propaganda and lies that Hamas is spreading around, and we have to bring the truth and the facts out. So if any of you can also join that fight on social media and in the media and radio and television, to bring out the truth and the reality, please share those things.
Okay. So Sharon, once again, we appreciate your time spending with us. We are most grateful. Like our president said, we have Ghanaian children born in Israel who are now serving in the IDF. We have about 20 prize. Those who are in service now, we have about 20 children who are serving. We are not talking about the reservists. We are talking about those who are in active service.
Wow.
So, and we also have a story to tell. For us as Ghana, our culture always united. It doesn't matter Muslim, Christians, we are always united under one umbrella. So our humble advice is that Israel should pursue peace, because when Israel pursue peace, it serves the interests of we Ghana, who happen to be the first sub-Saharan African country to establish a diplomatic relationship with Israel. So it tells the state of Israel that Ghana believes in the ideology of Israel once Israel head to peace. So that is our humble advice. And as for the City of David Radio and Ezra TV, we stand with Israel, and our agenda is to promote peace. Peace is all that we are all. So we are using you as a channel to talk more about peace, because when peace prevails, all of us will not sit here to talk about who is evil. So this is our humble message. So on behalf of the community in general, we are humble that we have you in our studio, and we are going to follow you there. Ezra TV is coming to your office. We are coming there.
Thank you. You're more than welcome to come to Jerusalem. Maybe you can do one program up in the capital as well. I'm sure they'll enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Okay, so now to our committee leaders in the Ghanaian community. We have the executive members who are together with our president serving the community interests. But within us, we have different associations that are also part of what we are doing. Like I said, we are united under one umbrella. The good news is that we have our pastors who are also supporting us based on the biblical evidence they got it from the forefathers of Israel. So we are well equipped when it comes to a better idea that stands for peace. So we have a different organization. I don't want to mention names, but this is what I want you to know. We are not alone. We have churches and we have different associations who are also part of it. This afternoon, we are on our way heading to the military center to donate. So once we get there, we will be able to mention all the parties who are involved. So this is a few that. And the last one is our embassy. The embassy and the ambassador and her staff also are doing great. They always call us to know what is going on. So we want to assure you that Ghana is still
we stand with Israel.
You must know that. So
Thank you very, very
thank
much.
you very much for having it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So any animal more share and sabre yadamasi bebre say Mose Madaji na motie. Mami ya muhu ni mfunu with the Mami president, you know, a member of Knesset, Ghana Quebec so your MP. Ono na ye tunsa a friend na waba a studio hani abetwetwe nkomo. Na somebody ba ya asumdwe, odi ka kyerɛkyerɛ mu kyerɛ yɛn de ɛsi no. Ɛno nti monko the City of David radio na mo nkonko tie dia akɔso ye de beto community page ho asomdwe asɛm na ɔde bae ɛna ɔkasa ma yesu ye we di adanse sɛ nkrofo bi adi awu ɛno nti ye mmɔ mpae na ye ntie ye guso a ye kan sɛ ye nua Kenneth Craig Mesawood ye de wase sɛ wonso adwane ye midin the evangelist Isaac Kobe me ne me penny evangelist Reverend Dennis Abeka any ye producer ono so din de Alex ono na wo ha ye penny for be sister everyone ha mama Grace Nsafo ha and mama Sharon Oyemke Urban is not an assistant and so a very beautiful woman on a by studio and yeah that was be bring yame and come home the air can say shalom peace bye for now.
Bye. Thank you
very much.
Thank you, that was great. Really, it's heartwarming. I really didn't know that you have like a radio and everything. That's amazing.